Hello. I'd encourage you to take a look at this class activity, the next two kind of on your own, and then check back into the videos if you need them and if they're helpful. So the first class activity here looks at a couple sets of data, and it actually asks you a different question, but I think this is really what it's getting at. If you look here versus here, why is the mean lower than the median in plot 1? So if you look at this data, why is the mean here lower than the median? And if you look at plot 2, it's the same question, only why is the mean higher than the median? And then it asks, how could you know that without actually calculating the mean and median? If you didn't know this, how would you know that the mean is higher here? And I'd like to encourage you to think about what we talked about in the last video. If you look at just this data here, you see this data is symmetric here. We have the mean, median, and mode would all be the same, and it would be 8. But that's not our data, okay? Our data includes these 3 data values. So what's going to happen? If you think about this process, let's just talk median first. So if you think about the median, this process of crossing off on the right and then crossing off on the left, we get the same thing. Here we're going to end up getting these as our middle 2 values, right? But what happens now if instead of doing that, we end up crossing off starting over here? Well, I've got to cross off 3, 1, 2, 3, cross off 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then I'm going to cross off this one and this one. I end up getting this as my middle value, which is still 8. So my median is 8 for this set. But think about the mean. What's going to happen with the mean? And not necessarily adding them all up and dividing by however many they are. Think about it in leveling out. When I looked just at this symmetric set, when I leveled everything out, I took 2 chicken nuggets away from the person who ate 10, and I gave it to the person who ate 6. Then they all ate 8 chicken nuggets, okay? But what's going to happen when I throw in these people who only ate 1 chicken nugget or 4 or 5? Do you see that it's gonna take away from these to even out? And that's really going to affect my mean. My mean is going to drop quite a bit. Now you might say, well, it only went from 8 to 7.44. That's not quite a bit. And in this case, you're right. But I like to think of it, what if you're, actually, let's look at the next one. You see the next one is similar results, okay? Here, when we look at just this data, our mean, median, and mode is probably going to be close to 3. But when I put these outliers here, they're not really outliers, just extreme values that are out here. There's a lot, when I start distributing this out, it's going to raise the mean. I like to think of it in money. Let's say we're going to look at money. And let's say that there were 5 of us. 2 of us had 0, 2 of us had $5, and 1 person had $10. Okay? Well, if we did the mean here, and we all evened it out, we would add all these up, 10 plus 5 plus 5 plus 0 plus 0 is 20, divided by the 5 people, 20 divided by 5 people, we would all get $4. Nice, right? Well, if you didn't have any money to start with, it might be nice. Otherwise, you might feel cheated a little bit. If you want to find the median, you're going to cross off the outer 2, and you're going to get a median of 5. So, let me clear that off. All right. But now what if instead of having $10, this top person had $1,000? Now that's going to change things, right? No longer are we all going to have an average of 4. We're going to have $1,010 divided by 5 people. Is that going to come out to $202, I think? 2010 divided by 5 is... No, 1,000. That's where I'm throwing off. Sorry. We're going to have 1,010. That's going to give you 202 for your average. That one person really affects the mean. How about the median? Take a look. The median is still 5. And so we say the mean is affected by extreme values. You see that up here? These values affect the mean, pulls it up, but it doesn't affect the median as much. Here, these values affect the mean by pulling it down. And that is what you see with mean and median compared to extreme values. All right. For question 2A and 3 on this activity, I'm going to ask you to read the discussion post. Once an idea is posted, don't repost that strategy. But if you have other thoughts or other strategies, go ahead and add to it. Posting will be count towards a mini presentation point, but you should all be reading it and making sure you're thinking about